Hello YouTube. I've been asked by several people to how does the CB40 digital interface fit into the GEB model. Some are under the impression that it can't be done, and there's also some information on that's been published to say that it can't be done on the internet. Well, here we go. This is my B model. For the point of this video, I'm going to show you how it sits the system within the radio. Not too much detail, just to show you my recommended way of doing it. I'm not going to take the front panel off and show you how I mounted the OLED display. That's actually mounted directly to the back of the plastic. It is not mounted to the front of the chassis. In the GEs, a big area has been cut out for the LEDs to come through. And this just, in order to do that, there's a bit of janky stuff that needs to be done. So my preferred method is to remove plastics and mouldings from behind the display here very carefully with a Dremel and hobby knives. Mount the display in. There's actually a black border behind the display which guides you, and then cut the display out. And there's a process to do that effectively, and I have made up a plastic cover that goes on the front display that finishes the mod off. All right, so here we go. So this GE is a radio that has been made up of around about up to 6 radios. It's had a lot of work done to it to recover this. I don't like throwing things away. First of all, had a full cap replacement done. I went through this cap here, which is normally upright. They're prone to failing. It has damaged and eaten away a lot of tracks on the surface. So what I've done is I found points where the tracks are solid and they're not going to tear up with just the weight of the wires. And I've mounted the wires to that. Underneath that, in and around all this area here, a lot of the tracks have been eaten away, and it's really you have to see it. But to give you an idea, I've got 6 GEs here, and this is the worst. Yet from the front of this radio, it actually looked really good when I first got it. So I didn't have a top board, so I couldn't replace it. So I fixed it. And underneath this board, on the negative side, all the acid had gone through, or whatever it is, the board to the underneath. And to give you some idea, an area of about that much had all gone black. So I removed that, and there was nothing left underneath of it. So there's been a bit of track repair underneath. I've used copper pads and built that back up so it's robust. What else has been done? This has had the potentiometer replaced. I've put in a chip mount for the O2A, replaced this crystal, this diode. This is a Razor Radio's VCO, so I put that in. And then gone through and done a full resolder on the top of the board as well as underneath the board. This also had a janky meter, so I've replaced that and at the same time put a white LED in. Okay, so there's the CB40 install. Now you can get access to it from the top and bottom. So when you remove the 18 channel switch or whatever other switch that's in there, it gives you all this room. All I did was clean up the chassis and mounted this package of the CB40, the CPU, to the wall. Now I haven't used a foam. I've used a 3M double-sided adhesive so that it's not affected by heat or humidity, and it's just going to fall off. Now from behind there you can see the header panel for the OLED display. So when you pull this off, the front fascia, this comes through the front fascia. And the only metalwork that's required here is a Dremel to and taking off about 2 to 3 mil on the top of the front mount of the chassis, so that this is easily pulled out and it's not stressed or put under pressure, so that you can service the radio. Another thing that I've done is that I've made this very easy to access for work in the future. So I've used push together fittings like this one here. These sets of wires actually go down to the board and through the board, which I drilled a hole in it, and underneath to the mods that are required to the O2A underneath. And you can see that. All right, so that if you're going to do something, do it so that it looks good, and that you're not creating problems for yourself and other people down in the future. All right, so what I'm going to do now is flip the radio over. Okay, so this is the board that I salvaged from another radio and then went on to rebuild it. And as you can see through here, this is an area, just for your own advice, a lot of dry joints happen in this area here underneath the board, okay, on the lower board. However, my best practice is to go over the whole board. As you can see, all the capacitors, the electrolytics with red on top, have been replaced, which is everything. I do that just as a matter of process, so that in the future I know that I've actually been in here. All right, something else that I've done with this install, you notice the jumper or header connector. I've actually removed the wires that went into that and the pins, and I've spliced the CB40 control cable into that. So I've put them I've put them directly into the header, and the wires from that go through to the connectors underneath. And as you can see, there's the other side of the CB40, so it almost is full distance of the chassis. Now from this side, where the red LED is, just next to that is your reset button if you ever need it. On this side of the board, I also found power to power the CB40, and it's pin number, what is it? Pin number 2? I think it's pin number 2 on this, on the header. And I just removed the pins, soldered them together, and put the pin back in there for the full supply, which is a switched supply from the main unit. All right, so that turns the CB40 on and off. And let's see, that's pretty much it for the CB40 install. Hope that that answered a lot of questions. This also had I've replaced the mode switch. I've replaced the meter, as I said earlier, replaced that. Polished up all of the buttons, and I've replaced 2 switches, I believe. All the wires on this were, one of the switches were around the wrong way. They were obviously, I don't know why, but I put them all back the right way. This, I think it's I can't remember what part this is. This was faulty. What else was faulty? Yeah, it just had a lot of dry joints in it. But there's phenomenal hours have been spent on this radio. But that's what it takes. And you can do it. Okay, it's just a commitment, and doing everything with one hand, not two, so that you focus on the work that you're doing. I'm not a tech. I'm just a radio enthusiast, and somehow I get through all this stuff, and they sound good, transmit good, and and got good people around me for when I do stuff up. They can assist. So there you go, guys. Thank you.